Okay, so here is like a general overview of the Calvin cycle. And what we really want to think about in terms of like why the Calvin cycle even exists is because plants build their own food. Like we talked about, autotrophs need to make their own food, but not just food. The technical term is organic molecules, right? So a plant is literally growing because of photosynthesis. So as it's building new cells, it needs cell membranes, it needs organelles, so lipids, proteins, carbohydrates, your DNA or their DNA, RNA, all of these macromolecules, carbs, lipids, proteins, and nucleic acids need to be built. And how they're going to do that is they're going to use carbon dioxide as the foundation to then add hydrogens and electrons to get the C, H, and O. So let's go ahead, though, and see how they do this. So the first part of the Calvin cycle is for the plant or the autotroph to take in carbon dioxide. And they actually take in 3 carbon dioxide molecules, and they're going to incorporate it into different chemical reactions within the Calvin cycle. Now, this is a very basic general overview video, so if you want more detail on the Calvin cycle, I recommend my other Calvin cycle video that I made for my AP Bio class. But anyway, so this process of taking carbon from the atmosphere, carbon dioxide, and incorporating it into like a larger molecule is called carbon fixation. And it's the first step of the Calvin cycle. Now, we also saw that we took in 3 carbon dioxides. Now, we also remember that during the light reaction, the purpose of the light reaction was to convert light energy into chemical energy. So one form of chemical energy is this electron carrier, NADPH. And so this NADPH is literally carrying the electrons and hydrogens from the light reaction over to the Calvin cycle. So here's our first source of chemical energy. Then we also had ATP be made in the light reaction. So both NADPH and ATP are the chemical energy from the light reactions, or the light-dependent reactions. Now, this is the source of energy used to build the plant's organic molecules, carbs, lipids, proteins, and nucleic acids. So the reactions of the Calvin cycle are going to invest this energy. It's basically called like an anabolic pathway. So we're going to take those electrons and the hydrogen and the energy from the ATP, and we're basically going to attach them, in the most simplest way to explain it, to carbon dioxide. So when we look at like carbohydrates that are CHO, well, the C and O came from carbon dioxide. And now there's the hydrogen, right? CHO. So in the Calvin cycle, we are investing and building carbohydrates as the first step. So the energy from ATP, once it's used, ADP and an inorganic phosphate will come out. And NADP plus is also left over. Now, the main product, though, of the Calvin cycle is a simple sugar called G3P. So G3P is C3H6O3, and that's really going to be the foundation or the building block for all organic molecules. The plants will have other enzymes in their cytoplasm to convert this simple sugar into lipids, or glucose, or fatty acids, or nucleotides, or amino acids. So, there it goes. Your NADP plus, your like empty or oxidized electron carrier, and the ADP and phosphate will go back over to the light reaction where they can be used again. But let's go ahead and talk more about this G3P. So if we take one G3P and another G3P and we add them together, well, that's glucose. So sometimes the Calvin cycle is referred to as, the Calvin cycle makes glucose. Kind of true. The Calvin cycle, like one turn of the Calvin cycle, makes a small sugar called G3P, and 2 of those G3Ps form glucose. Now, G3P, like I just mentioned, can be used and converted into lipids, proteins, as well as nucleic acids. So the Calvin cycle literally is the process and the reactions that take air, carbon dioxide, and then invest energy and electrons and hydrogens and convert that into life, into organic molecules. And that's it. Great job, my wonderful students.